Hello, and this is the West Tyne Light Network. Now we have the BBC Radio 4 schedule for Tuesday the 22nd of July. At 5:30 AM we have a news briefing, and then at 5:43 it's Prayer for the Day with Canon Simon Dugan. At 5:45 it's Farming Today with Anna Hill. Then at 5:58 the Bullfinch is introduced in Tweet of the Day by Michaela Strachan. At 6 it's the Today programme with Sarah Montague and James Nuckety. At 6:45 it's Yesterday in Parliament presented by Susan Hume. And then at 7:48 it's Thought for the Day with the Reverend Dr. Michael Banner. On long wave at 8:31 you can catch Yesterday in Parliament. And at 9 o'clock on FM it's the Life Scientific. In the 8th of 8 episodes, Carol Robinson, the first female professor of chemistry at Oxbridge, talks to Jim Alkalili about her career, which began when she left school at 16 to become a lab technician. For a while she felt insecure about getting her degree from a further education college, studying part-time over 7 years. But she's now proud of her unconventional route into academia, and actively recruits students to her lab from a wide range of backgrounds. At 9:30 it's 1-to-1. In the 8th of 8 episodes, Today presenter Sarah Montague talks to her mum about how she is coping while her son is in prison. At 9:45 it's Book of the Week, and this week it's Deep. In the 2nd of 5 episodes, James Nestor meets some scientific free drivers and goes shark tagging, and the book is read by William Hope. On long wave at 9:45 it's the daily service led by the Reverend Claire Jacks. At 10 on FM it's Woman's Hour with Jane Garvey, including the 15-minute drama The Pursuits of Darlene Files. In the 2nd of 5 episodes, Darlene has moved to the countryside to a village created solely for adults with learning disabilities. Husband Jamie refused to go, and to make matters worse his mother-in-law Trina has moved him with him. And this one's by Esther Wilson. At 11 on FM it's Shared Planet. In the 8th of 9 episodes, Zoos in the Wild. As more land is developed for agriculture, industry and housing, the area is remaining increasing in importance. Monty Don considers whether such residual zones are able to function on their own, or are in need of a constant management. He learns more about a wildlife park in South Africa, the reserve that helped replenish southern Africa's white rhinoceros population, to discover whether size matters for such protected areas. At 11:30 it's Roots, Reggae and Rebellion. In the first of 2 episodes, Kingsley Daly, aka poet, rapper and commentator, Akala, visits Jamaica to examine the cultural and sociological significance of Rastafaria and its music, how it turned from an ostracized religious sect into a global phenomenon. He begins by uncovering Rastafaria's role in replacing the shackles of colonial rule with a forgotten African identity. Initially, Rastas were deemed the scourge of society by both British and the Jamaican authorities. But thanks to an explosion of music in the 1970s, the Rastafaria message took over the island before spreading around the world. Then after the news at midday, at 12:04 PM, it's Call You and Yours. It's the Consumer Affairs phone-in. You telephone 0370 010 0444 to call the programme, or email youandyours@bbc.co.uk. At 1 o'clock it's The World at One, presented by Edward Stoughton. At 1:45 it's Plants, From Roots to Riches. In the 2nd of 25 episodes, Plants to Shape Society, Cathy Willis considers the work of 18th century botanist Joseph Banks, who believed that if Britain harnessed the trade of plants on a global scale, then imperial progress as a civilizing power would be assured. At 2 o'clock we go to Ambridge for The Archers. Then at 2:15 it's the afternoon drama The Sensitive. This is an offbeat thriller by Alistair Jessiman. Police call in a psychic to help find a missing woman. Thomas Suter is adept at solving crimes, but is his extraordinary gift a blessing or a curse? Thomas is played by Jimmy Chisholm, Mrs. Suter by Shalom Donald. DC Sharon Webb by Julie Austin, Mrs. Alsop by Mary Riggins, Mojave by Catherine Holden, Callum by Chris Young, and Duncan and the Attendant by James Bryce. The producer and director is Bruce Young. At 3 o'clock it's Making History. In the fifth of 8 episodes, Tom Holland, Helen Castor and Fiona Watson explore themes from Britain's past in response to queries raised by listeners' own historical research. The producer is Nick Patrick. And the address to write into the programme is Making History, P.O. Box 3096, Brighton, BN1 1PL. That's BN1 1PL. Or you can email making.history@bbc.co.uk or telephone 0370 010 0400. At 3:30 it's Into the Abyss. In the first of 2 episodes, Rebecca Morell explores the ocean's deepest realm, the Hadal Zone, which stretches from 6,000 to 11,000 metres down. She talks to explorers of deep ocean trenches, including film director James Cameron, and to the biologists discovering an environmental inhabited by large shrimp and pink gelatinous fish. At 4 it's The Word of Mouth. In the second of 8 episodes it's Message in a Bottle. Chris Ledyard uncorks the subject of messages in bottles, hearing from people who have been saved by sending out an SOS, formed friendships across the water, or found scientific value in the exercise. At 4:30 it's A Good Read. In the 8th of 9 episodes, human rights activist Shami Chakrabarti, bricklaying author Monica Ali, and presenter Harriet Gilbert discuss their favourite books. Evelyn Waugh's The Loved One, Rachel Holmes' biography of Eleanor Marx, and children's classic Charlotte's Web by A.B. White. At 4:55 it's 1914 Day by Day. In the 26th of 43 episodes, July the 22nd, the Russian royal family gives a lavish welcome to the French president. At 5 o'clock it's PM, presented by Eddie Mair. Then at 6 it's the 6 o'clock news. At 6:30 it's Life, an Idiot's Game. In the 5 of 6 episodes, Stephen K. Amos invites comedians Susie Raphael, Tom Rhodes and Andy Zaltzman to help him put together an idiot-proof guide to penny pinching and austerity. At 7 it's The Archers. Haley asks some difficult questions, meanwhile Rob comes for lunch. At 7:15 it's Front Row with John Wilson. Then at 7:45 The Pursuits of Darlene Files again. In the second of 5 episodes, Darlene has moved to the countryside to a village created solely for adults with learning disabilities. Then at 8, Kurdistan, a state of uncertainty. John McCarthy visits the thriving regional capital Erbil to meet the Kurds of northern Iraq, asking how the ethnic group has managed to find stability in the troubled country. At 8:40 it's In Touch, Peter White with news and information for the blind and partially sighted. 9. Inside Health. The 4th of 6 episodes, Dr. Mark Porter separates medical fact from fiction, clarifying health issues. The producer is Deborah Cohen, repeated tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. At 9:30 it's The Life Scientific, repeated from 9 a.m. At 10 o'clock it's The World Tonight with Rutula Shah. At 10:45 it's The Book at Bedtime, The Miniaturist. In the second of 10 readings, Nella continues to wonder when her husband is going to consummate their marriage. Meanwhile, her sister-in-law has suggested that some sort of distraction would be a good idea, and this one's by Jessie Burton. At 11 it's The Infinite Monkey Cage, and that's repeated from yesterday at 4:30 p.m. At 11:30 it's Today in Parliament. Susan Hume describes what's been going on at Westminster. At 12 it's the news. Then at 12:30 to 12:45 a.m. it's the Book of the Week, Deep, and that's repeated from 9:45 a.m. And at 1 it's Good Night from Radio 4 as they join the BBC World Service.